I thought answering one phone call in Italian would be harmless. Just another favor from my boss at the cafe. But 3 hours later, I was sitting in a black car with tinted windows, watching the most dangerous men in Sicily argue over who gets to keep me. And the worst part? Every instinct in my body was screaming at me to stay. My name is Luca Brennan, and I've spent the last 2 years trying to be invisible. Half Sicilian, half Norwegian, and completely unremarkable. That's what I tell myself every morning. I work at Cafe Paradiso in the coastal district of Strandvik, a city where old Sicilian stone churches sit beside sleek Nordic glass towers. It's beautiful in a contradictory way, kind of like me. Being an Omega here isn't easy. The city's run by alpha families, old Mafia bloodlines mixed with Nordic crime syndicates. They don't advertise it, but everyone knows. The Corvino Halderson family controls the ports. The Russo Eriksson clan owns the casinos. And the family I'd never wanted to meet? The Santoro brothers? 3 alphas? 1 territory? 0 mercy. I'd heard stories, whispers about how they took over the entire southern trade network in one bloody month. How the eldest, Dante, could make a man disappear with just a phone call. How the middle brother, Soren, smiled while he broke bones. How the youngest, Alessio, was the cruelest because he made you think you had a choice. So yeah, I stayed invisible. Suppressants every day. Scent blockers. Head down. I hadn't had a heat in over a year, and I wanted to keep it that way. It was a Thursday afternoon when everything fell apart. The cafe was slow. Rain hammered the cobblestone streets outside, turning the world gray and cold. My manager Olav was in the back counting inventory when the phone rang. I almost didn't answer it, but it kept ringing. Sharp, insistent. I picked up. Cafe Paradiso, how can I help you? Silence. Then a low voice, smooth and dangerous, spoke in rapid Italian. È fatto. Il carico arriva a mezzanotte. Conferma la posizione. My blood went cold. It's done. The shipment arrives at midnight. Confirm the location. This wasn't a coffee order. I should have hung up. Should have pretended I didn't understand. But my mouth moved before my brain caught up, and I answered in perfect Italian. Mi dispiace, hai il numero sbagliato. Sorry, you have the wrong number. The line went dead. My hands were shaking as I set the phone down. Wrong number. That's all it was. Some smuggler dialed the cafe by mistake. It happened in Strandvik. The Mafia families owned half the businesses in the city. Lines got crossed. I told myself that for 3 hours. By the time my shift ended, the rain had stopped, but the air still smelled like wet stone and salt from the harbor. I pulled my jacket tighter and started the walk home through the narrow streets of the old district. The city felt different tonight, quieter, like it was holding its breath. I passed the old cathedral with its black iron gates, the flower shop that never seemed to close, the tattoo parlor where Nordic runes glowed in neon blue. My apartment was only 10 more minutes away. 10 minutes and I'd be safe. That's when I felt it. A prickle at the back of my neck. The kind of sensation that makes your instincts scream. Run. I turned. 3 men stood at the end of the alley behind me. No, not men. Alphas. I could feel it in the air, thick and suffocating. Their scent hit me like a freight train. Smoke, leather, and something darker. Something that made my knees weak even though every rational part of me wanted to bolt. The one in the middle stepped forward. Tall, broad-shouldered, dark hair slicked back, sharp jawline, and eyes like black ice. He wore a tailored suit that probably cost more than my entire year's rent. Dante Santoro. I knew his face from the newspapers, from the wanted posters the police pretended to care about. You, he said, his voice low and controlled. You answered a call today. My heart slammed into my ribs. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't lie to me, Omega. The word made my stomach drop. How did he know? The man to his left laughed, a cold, sharp sound. He was leaner than Dante, with pale blonde hair and ice blue eyes that looked like they could cut glass. Soren, the middle brother. He's scared, Soren said, his Scandinavian accent bleeding through. Look at him shaking. Leave him alone, the third one said quietly. Alessio, the youngest. He looked different from his brothers. warmer somehow. Brown hair that fell across his forehead, softer features, honey-colored eyes. But the way he looked at me made my pulse race, like I was something precious he'd just found. Dante took another step closer. I backed up until my spine hit the brick wall. That call, Dante said slowly, was meant for one of our associates. You answered in Italian, fluent Italian, and then you hung up. It was a wrong number, I whispered. Wrong numbers don't speak our language, Soren said, circling around me like a wolf. Wrong numbers don't know our business. I don't know anything about your business. Then why did you answer? Alessio asked softly. He was the closest now, just a few feet away. Why didn't you just hang up? My voice cracked. I was trying to help. You thought what? Dante's eyes narrowed. That you could play innocent? That we wouldn't find you? I'm nobody, I said desperately. I work at a cafe. I don't know anything. Please, just let me go. Dante stared at me for a long, unbearable moment. Then he pulled out his phone and made a call. Marco, he said, his eyes never leaving mine. I need a full background check. Names. He looked at me expectantly. I didn't answer. Soren grabbed my wrist, fast and painless, but firm enough to make his point. He asked you a question. Luca, I choked out. Luca Brennan. Dante repeated it into the phone. Waited. Then his expression changed. Half Sicilian, he murmured, almost to himself. Moo Norwegian. Father connected to the Brennan syndicate in Oslo. He looked up. You're not nobody, Luca. My chest tightened. My father's dead. I have nothing to do with that world. And yet, Alessio said quietly, you speak Italian like you were raised in Palermo. You understood a coded message. And you're an unmated omega in a city full of predators. He stepped closer, and I caught his scent, cedar and rain, and something that made my head spin. How are you still alive? He whispered. Before I could answer, Dante's phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen, and his jaw tightened. We have a problem, he said. Soren's smile vanished. What kind of problem? The Russo-Erickson family just put a bounty on an omega who intercepted one of our calls. Dante's eyes locked onto mine. They think you're a spy. The ground tilted under my feet. I'm not. It doesn't matter what you are, Dante interrupted. If they find you first, you're dead. My breath came in short, panicked gasps. Then let me go. I'll disappear. I'll leave the city tonight. You won't make it to the train station, Soren said flatly. Alessio stepped in front of me, blocking me from his brothers. There's another option. Dante raised an eyebrow. Alessio, we take him, Alessio said firmly. We claim him. If he's under our protection, the Russo family can't touch him. You want to claim a random omega because he answered a phone call? Soren laughed. You've lost your mind. He's not random, Alessio shot back. Look at him, Soren. Really look. Soren's eyes raked over me, and something shifted in his expression. Dante was silent for a long moment. Then he turned to someone I hadn't noticed before. A driver standing beside a black sedan parked at the curb. Marco, Dante said quietly, make sure the Omega doesn't leave the city. My stomach dropped. Wait. Dante looked at me, and for the first time I saw something other than cold calculation in his eyes. Hunger. You're coming with us, Luca, he said, whether you like it or not. I should have fought, should have screamed, but as Alessio's hand gently wrapped around my arm and Soren opened the car door, all I could think was, why does part of me want to get the leather seat was cold against my back? I pressed myself into it, trying to put distance between me and the three alphas now surrounding me in the back of the sedan. Alessio sat to my left, close enough that his thigh brushed mine every time the car turned. Soren was on my right, stretched out like he owned the entire vehicle, one arm draped casually along the seat behind my head, and Dante sat across from us in the rear-facing seat, his dark eyes fixed on me like I was a puzzle he was determined to solve. The driver, Marco, pulled away from the curb without a word. Where are you taking me? My voice came out smaller than I wanted. Somewhere safe, Alessio said softly. Soren laughed. Somewhere we can keep an eye on you. That's not an answer. Villa Corvetto, Dante said. Our estate on the cliffs north of the city. You'll stay there until we figure out what to do with you. I don't need you to figure out anything, I snapped, fear sharpening into anger. I need you to let me go. Can't do that. Soren leaned closer, and I caught his scent again. Ice and gunpowder, and something that made my pulse quicken. You're in danger, little Omega. We just saved your life. You threatened me. We protected you, Dante corrected. There's a difference. I turned to look out the window, watching the city lights blur past. My hands were shaking in my lap. I clasped them together, trying to stop the tremor. Alessio noticed. Of course he did. His hand covered both of mine, warm and steady. You're safe with us, Luca. I yanked my hands away like he'd burned me. Don't touch me. His jaw tightened, but he pulled back. I'm sorry. Sorry? I laughed bitterly. You kidnapped me, and you're sorry. We didn't kidnap you, Soren said, his accent curling around the words. We claimed you. Big difference. I didn't agree to be claimed. You didn't have to. Dante's voice was quiet, controlled, terrifying. The moment you answered that call, you became ours. The possessiveness in his tone made something low in my stomach tighten. I hated it. Hated that my body was reacting to them when my mind was screaming at me to run. I'm not a thing you can own, I whispered. Dante leaned forward, elbows on his knees, and for the first time, I saw something almost gentle in his expression. No, he said, you're not a thing. You're an unmated Omega with a target on your back, a dead father who worked for one of the most dangerous syndicates in Scandinavia, and a mouth that just put you on the Russo family's kill list. He paused. You need us, Luca, whether you want to admit it or not. I wanted to argue, wanted to tell him he was wrong, but I couldn't, because he was right. The estate appeared through the rain-streaked windows like something out of a nightmare. High stone walls, iron gates that opened automatically as we approached. A massive villa carved into the cliffside, half Sicilian palazzo, half Nordic fortress, with tall windows glowing gold against the stormy sky. It was beautiful. It was a prison. Marco stopped the car in front of the entrance. Soren got out first, then held the door open and looked at me expectantly. I didn't move. Come on, Omega, he said, his smile sharp. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. What if I refuse? Then I carry you inside. His eyes gleamed. And trust me, I'd enjoy that far too much. Alessio shot him a look. Soren? What? I'm being honest. I climbed out of the car before Soren could make good on his threat. The wind hit me immediately, cold and brutal, carrying the scent of the ocean below. The cliffs dropped away just beyond the villa's edge, a sheer fall into black water and jagged rocks. No escape that way. Dante walked ahead without looking back, his long coat snapping in the wind. Alessio stayed close to me, a silent presence at my side, and Soren trailed behind, still smiling like this was all some kind of game. Inside, the villa was even more overwhelming. Marble floors, high ceilings with exposed wooden beams. Artwork that probably cost more than most people made in a lifetime. It smelled like expensive cologne, old leather, and something else. Something uniquely them. A woman appeared from one of the side hallways. Older, silver hair pulled back in a tight bun, wearing a crisp black dress. She looked at me with sharp, assessing eyes. Signora Ravenna, Dante said, prepare the East Wing guest suite. Our guest will be staying indefinitely. Her eyebrows rose slightly, but she nodded. Of course, Signore Santoro. Wait, I said. I'm not. You'll have your own room, Alessio said gently. Your own space. We're not monsters, Luca. You kidnapped me. Protected, Soren corrected cheerfully. We protected you. How many times do we have to say it? Until it's actually true. Dante turned to face me, and the look in his eyes made my breath catch. You think we wanted this? He asked quietly. You think we wanted to bring a stranger into our home, into our lives, and turn him into a target just by association? Then let me go. I can't. His voice dropped. You don't understand what you walked into, Luca. The families in this city don't forgive mistakes. They don't forget. And right now, you're a loose end. So what am I supposed to do? My voice cracked. Just stay here and hope you don't get tired of me? You're supposed to trust us, Alessio said. I laughed. It came out bitter and broken. Trust you? I don't even know you. Then let us fix that. Alessio stepped closer, and I could see flecks of gold in his honey-colored eyes. Give us a chance, Luca. Just one. And if I don't? Soren's smile faded. Then you walk out that door, and you're dead by morning. The bluntness of it stole the air from my lungs. Dante's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and his expression darkened. What? Soren asked. The Russo family just issued a formal hunt order. Dante looked up at me. 5 million euros to whoever brings them the Omega, who intercepted our call. My knees buckled. Alessio caught me before I hit the floor, his hands firm on my waist. I've got you. 5 million, I whispered. They're going to kill me for 5 million euros. No, Dante said, his voice hard as steel. They're not. Because as of right now, you're under the protection of the Santoro family, and anyone who touches you answers to us. He stepped closer, and I could feel the heat radiating off him, the alpha dominance that made my Omega instincts scream at me to submit. You're ours now, Luca, he said softly, and we protect what's ours. Soren moved to my other side, trapping me between the three of them. So here's how this works, Soren said, his voice low and dangerous. You stay. You let us keep you safe, and in return, his smile returned, sharper than ever. You belong to us. I should have said no, should have fought, but Alessio's hands were still on my waist, steadying me. Dante's eyes were burning into mine, and Soren's scent was wrapping around me like smoke. And the terrifying truth was, I didn't want to leave. I don't belong to anyone, I breathed, but my voice wavered. Dante's eyes darkened. He reached out slowly, giving me time to pull away. I didn't. His fingers brushed my jaw, tilting my face up to meet his gaze. Your mouth says one thing, he murmured, but your scent says another. Heat flooded my cheeks. I'm on suppressants. Suppressants don't hide fear, Soren said from behind me. His breath ghosted across the back of my neck, and I shivered. Or attraction. I'm not. The lie died on my tongue because Alessio's thumb was tracing circles on my hip through my shirt, and my knees were getting weaker by the second. You're not what? Alessio asked softly. Not scared? Not attracted? Not exactly where you want to be right now? I jerked away from all three of them, my back hitting the marble wall. My chest heaved as I tried to catch my breath, tried to think through the fog of their combined sense. This is insane, I said. You don't know me. I don't know you. And you're talking about claiming and protection like this is normal. It's not normal, Dante agreed. He slipped his hands into his pockets, but his eyes never left mine. Nothing about this is normal, Luca, but that doesn't make it wrong. Doesn't make it right either, doesn't it? Soren cocked his head, studying me like I was something fascinating. You answered a call in a language you shouldn't speak, in a city where secrets get people killed, and somehow you ended up with the three alphas who could actually keep you alive. His smile was razor sharp. That sounds like fate to me. I don't believe in fate. You will, Alessio said quietly. The certainty in his voice made something crack open in my chest. I pressed my palms against the cool marble behind me, needing something solid to anchor myself. My voice broke. I need space. I need to think. Dante nodded once. Signora Ravenna will show you to your room. You'll have everything you need. But Luca, he stepped closer, and I could see the warning in his eyes. Don't try to leave. The guards have orders to keep you inside. For your own safety. So I'm a prisoner. You're protected, he corrected. There's a difference. Doesn't feel like one. Soren laughed, low and dark. Give it time, Omega. You'll see. Signora Ravenna led me through hallways that seemed to stretch forever. Paintings of stern-faced men and women lined the walls. Ancestors, probably. People who'd built this empire of blood and money. My room was in the east wing, just like Dante had said. She opened a heavy wooden door and stepped aside. I walked in and stopped. It was beautiful. Enormous. A 4-poster bed with deep blue silk sheets. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the cliffs and the black ocean beyond. A fireplace already crackling with warmth. Bookshelves lined one wall, and there was even a small sitting area with plush chairs. The bathroom is through there, Signora Ravenna said, gesturing to a door on the left. If you need anything, press the button by the bed. Someone will come immediately. Thank you, I whispered. She studied me for a long moment, her sharp eyes softening just slightly. They're not bad men, you know. Dangerous, yes. Powerful, yes. But not bad. They kidnapped me. They saved you, she corrected gently. And if you're smart, you'll let them keep doing it. She left before I could respond. I stood in the center of the room, alone for the first time in hours, and felt everything crash over me at once. My hands started shaking, then my legs. I sank onto the edge of the bed and pressed my face into my palms, trying to breathe through the panic clawing up my throat. 5 million euros, a hunt order, 3 alphas who looked at me like I was something precious and dangerous all at once. And the worst part, the part that made me want to scream, was that I couldn't stop thinking about the way Dante's fingers had felt against my jaw, the way Soren's breath had made my skin prickle, the way Alessio's hands had steadied me when I thought I'd fall. I hated it, hated that my body responded to them when I should be fighting tooth and nail to get away. A soft knock interrupted my spiral. Luca! Alessio's voice muffled through the door. Can I come in? I should have said no. It's open, I heard myself say instead. The door opened slowly. Alessio stepped inside and I noticed he'd taken off his jacket. His white shirt was unbuttoned at the collar, sleeves rolled up to his elbows. He looked softer like this, less dangerous, almost human. I wanted to check on you, he said. I'm fine. You're shaking. I looked down at my hands. He was right. I clenched them into fists, willing them to stop. Alessio crossed the room and sat on the chair across from me, keeping distance between us. I know this is overwhelming. I know you're scared, and I know you have every reason not to trust us. But we meant what we said. You're safe here, Luca. Safer than you've been in years, probably. How would you know anything about my life? His eyes softened, because I recognized the look in your eyes. The way you flinch when someone moves too fast. The way you make yourself smaller like you're trying to disappear. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. You've been hiding for a long time, haven't you? My throat tightened. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do. The gentleness in his voice broke something in me. Tears burned behind my eyes, but I blinked them back furiously. Why do you care? I whispered. You don't know me. Not yet, he said, but I want to. Why? He was quiet for a moment, and when he spoke again, his voice was barely above a whisper. Because the moment I saw you in that alley, something in me recognized something in you. Like I'd been looking for you my whole life without knowing it. My breath caught. That's not real, that's just alpha instinct or whatever. Is it? He stood slowly, moving closer. Not threatening, just there. Then why can't I stop thinking about the way you looked at me when you were scared? Why does every part of me want to make sure nothing ever hurts you again? Stop, I breathed. Why? He crouched in front of me so we were eye level. Because it scares you? Or because you feel it too? I couldn't answer. Couldn't move. His scent wrapped around me, cedar and rain and something warm and safe, and I hated how much I wanted to lean into it. I feel it too, I finally admitted, the words ripping out of me. And I hate it. I hate that I want to trust you. I hate that part of me wants to stay. I hate... My voice broke. Alessio's hand cupped my cheek, his thumb brushing away a tear I hadn't realized had fallen. Then hate it, he said softly. Hate us if you need to. But stay alive, Luca. That's all I'm asking. The door opened. Dante stood in the doorway, his expression unreadable. We have a problem. Alessio straightened immediately. What kind of problem? The kind where the Russo family just burned down Café Paradiso. Dante's eyes locked onto mine. They're looking for witnesses, and they're not being subtle about it. The air left my lungs. What? The word came out strangled. Olav, my co-workers, got out before the fire started, Dante said quickly. No casualties. The Russo family made sure of that. This wasn't about killing innocents. It was about sending a message. I stood on shaking legs. What message? That they know where you worked, where you lived, who you talked to. Dante's jaw tightened. They're closing in, Luca, and they're making sure you know it. Alessio's hand found the small of my back, steadying me. I should have pulled away. Instead, I leaned into the touch without thinking. My apartment, I started. Already cleared, Dante interrupted. We sent people an hour ago. Everything you own is being moved here as we speak. My head snapped toward him. You went through my things? We saved your things, he corrected. If we hadn't, the Russo family would be tearing through them right now, looking for anything that connects you to us. I don't have anything that connects me to you. You answered our phone call, Soren's voice came from the doorway behind Dante. He stepped into the room, his expression harder than before. That's all the connection they need. I pressed my palms against my temples, trying to process. My café was gone. My apartment was being ransacked by strangers. My entire life had been uprooted in a matter of hours. This is insane, I breathed. I can't. Hey! Alessio moved in front of me, his hands gentle on my shoulders. Breathe, Luca. Just breathe. Don't tell me to breathe. I shoved him away, anger surging through the panic. Don't tell me everything's going to be fine when my whole life just burned down because I was stupid enough to answer a phone. You weren't stupid, Dante said firmly. You were in the wrong place at the wrong time. Same thing. No, he said, stepping closer. It's not. Stupid is what the Russo family is doing right now. Making noise, drawing attention, burning buildings in broad daylight. That's desperation, Luca. They're scared. Scared? They just destroyed my workplace. Because they don't know where you are. Soren leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. Because we have you, and that makes you untouchable. And that terrifies them. I laughed bitterly. I don't feel untouchable. I feel like a target. You are a target, Dante said bluntly, but you're our target, and that changes everything. The possessiveness in his tone made heat coil low in my belly. I hated it. Hated that even now, scared and angry and overwhelmed, my body still responded to him. I didn't ask for this, I whispered. I know. Dante's voice softened. But you have it anyway, and now you have a choice to make. What choice? You already decided I'm staying here. I decided you're staying alive, he corrected. How you do that is up to you. I stared at him. What does that mean? It means, Soren said, pushing off the doorframe, that you can spend the next few weeks fighting us every step of the way, hating us, resisting us, making yourself miserable. He moved closer, and I could see the challenge in his ice blue eyes. Or you can accept that we're the only thing standing between you and a bullet, and you can let us protect you. That's not a choice, that's an ultimatum. Call it whatever you want, Dante said, but decide quickly, because the Russo family isn't going to wait for you to feel comfortable. My hands curled into fists at my sides. And what happens when this is over? When the Russo family moves on to their next target? Do I just get to leave? The silence that followed was deafening. Alessio looked at his brothers. Soren's expression was unreadable. And Dante's eyes held something I couldn't quite name. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it, Dante finally said. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have right now. I wanted to scream, wanted to throw something. Instead, I turned away from all three of them and walked to the window, staring out at the black ocean churning below the cliffs. I had a life, I said quietly. It wasn't much, but it was mine, and now it's gone. Then build a new one, Alessio said from behind me. Here, with us. I spun around. With you? I don't even know you. Then get to know us. He took a step closer, and there was something raw in his eyes, something that made my chest ache. Give us a chance to be more than the men who took you. Let us be the men who kept you safe. Why do you even care? My voice cracked. Why does any of this matter to you? Because, Alessio stopped, his jaw working like he was trying to find the right words. Because I look at you and I see something worth protecting, something worth keeping, and I know my brothers feel the same way. It's true, Soren said, and for once there was no mockery in his voice. You walked into our world by accident, Omega. But now that you're here, I don't want you to leave. Dante moved to stand beside his brothers, and the three of them formed a wall of alpha dominance that should have been terrifying. Instead, it felt like shelter. We can't force you to want this, Dante said carefully, but we can keep you alive long enough to decide if you do. I swallowed hard, my throat tight with emotions I didn't want to name. And if I decide I don't want this? I asked. If I decide I want out? Dante held my gaze. Then we let you go. You're lying. I don't lie, Luca. Not about things that matter. The certainty in his voice made something shift in my chest. I wanted to believe him, wanted to trust that these men, these dangerous, powerful, terrifying men, would actually let me walk away if I asked. But I'd learned a long time ago that wanting something didn't make it true. I need time, I said finally. I need to think. Take all the time you need, Alessio said gently. We're not going anywhere, and neither are you. Soren's phone buzzed. He glanced at it and his expression darkened. We have company, he said quietly. Dante's head snapped toward him. Who? Russo sent an envoy. They're at the gates. Soren looked up, his eyes gleaming with something dangerous. They want to negotiate. For what? I asked, dread pooling in my stomach. Dante's smile was cold and sharp as a blade. For you! My blood turned to ice. You can't just hand me over. We're not handing you over, Dante said, but his tone had shifted, colder, sharper. The warmth that had been there moments ago was gone, replaced by something lethal. But we need to hear what they're offering. Offering? I stepped back. I'm not a commodity. To them you are, Soren said flatly. He was already moving toward the door. 5 million euros, remember? That's what you're worth to the Russo family. Soren, Alessio warned. What? He needs to understand what we're dealing with. Soren looked back at me, and despite the harshness of his words, there was something protective in his gaze. They're not going to stop, Luca. Not until they get what they want or we make them stop. Then make them stop. My voice rose, panic bleeding through. You're supposed to be powerful, right? You control half this city. We control the ports and the trade networks, Dante interrupted. The Russo family controls the casinos, the banks, and the politicians. We're matched, Luca. Evenly matched. Which means this situation requires strategy, not brute force. Strategy, I repeated, the word tasting bitter. You mean you're actually considering giving me to them? Never. The word came from Alessio, sharp and absolute. He crossed the room in 3 strides and gripped my arms, forcing me to look at him. Do you hear me? Never. We will never give you to them. His intensity stole my breath. I could see it in his eyes, the truth of what he was saying. The promise. Then what are you going to do? I whispered. We're going to talk to them, Dante said. Find out what they know, what they want. And then we're going to make it very clear that you're off limits. And if they don't accept that, Dante's smile was razor thin, then we remind them why people fear the Santoro name. They made me stay in the room. Not locked in. Alessio made a point of leaving the door open, but for my safety, they said. Signora Ravenna appeared with tea I didn't drink and biscuits I couldn't eat, her presence a silent guard even though she pretended to fuss with the fireplace. I paced, window to door to window. My mind wouldn't stop racing. What were the Russo family saying downstairs? What were they offering? What if Dante was lying and they were negotiating a price right now? No. Alessio's eyes, the way he looked at me. That wasn't fake, was it? I pressed my forehead against the cold glass of the window, staring down at the driveway far below. 2 black cars were parked beside the Santoro sedan. Men in expensive suits stood near them, their body language tense even from this distance. Then I saw them. Dante, Soren, and Alessio stepped out of the villa's main entrance. Even from up here, I could see the difference in their posture. Dante walked with lethal grace, every movement controlled. Soren's hands were in his pockets, but his shoulders were relaxed in a way that screamed danger. And Alessio looked like he was barely restraining himself from doing something violent. A man stepped forward from the Russo group, tall, silver-haired, wearing a coat that probably cost more than my entire year's salary. He extended his hand. Dante didn't take it. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but I watched the silver-haired man's expression shift from diplomatic to irritated. He gestured sharply. Dante remained still as stone. Then Soren said something, and even the Russo guards took a step back. The silver-haired man's face flushed red. He pointed toward the villa, toward my window, and my heart stopped. He knew I was here, knew I was watching. Dante moved, just one step, but it put him directly between the Russo envoy and the villa, between that man and me. The message was clear. You'll have to go through me first. The confrontation lasted another minute. Sharp words I couldn't hear, tension thick enough to see even from this distance. Then the silver-haired man turned on his heel and got back into his car. The Russo convoy pulled away, gravel crunching under their tires. The Santoro brothers stood there for a long moment, watching them leave. Then Alessio looked up, directly at my window. Our eyes met across the distance, and even though I knew he couldn't possibly see my expression clearly from down there, I felt exposed. Seen. He turned and headed back inside. I stepped away from the window, my pulse hammering. Footsteps echoed in the hallway. Fast, purposeful, getting closer. The door swung open. Alessio stood in the doorway, his chest heaving like he'd run the entire way. His eyes found mine immediately. "You're okay," he breathed. Yes, I'm fine. What happened?" He crossed the room and pulled me into his arms before I could process what was happening. I stiffened, my hands caught between our bodies. "Alessio, they wanted you," he said against my hair, his voice rough. "They offered us territory, money, alliances. Everything we could want." His arms tightened. "And Dante told them to go to hell." My throat closed. "He did. We all did." Alessio pulled back just enough to look at me, his hands framing my face. "They could have offered us the entire city, Luca. It wouldn't have mattered. You're not for sale." "Why?" The question tore out of me. "Why do you care this much about someone you just met?" His thumb traced my cheekbone, and his eyes looked at me like I was something infinitely precious. "I don't know," he admitted. "I don't know how to explain what I feel when I look at you. It doesn't make sense. It shouldn't be this strong this fast, but it is. And I can't—" He stopped, his jaw clenching. "I can't let them take you." "Alessio!" The door opened again. Dante and Soren entered, and the temperature in the room seemed to drop. "They'll be back," Dante said without preamble. "Tonight's offer was just the opening move. They'll escalate." "How?" I asked, my voice barely steady. "Violence," Soren said simply. He moved to the sidebar and poured himself a drink. "They'll hit our operations, try to draw us out, make us choose between protecting you and protecting our business." "Then let me go," I said desperately. "Let me leave the city." "They'll find you in 6 hours," Dante cut me off. "Maybe less. The Russo family has resources everywhere, Luca. Scandinavia, Italy, Germany. You can't run far enough." "So what am I supposed to do? Just stay here and wait for them to kill everyone around me?" "You're supposed to let us handle this," Dante said. "By doing what?" His eyes gleamed, dark and dangerous. "By making sure the Russo family regrets ever hearing your name." Soren raised his glass in a mock toast. "Now we're talking." "This is insane," I whispered. "You're talking about starting a war." "We're not starting anything," Dante said. "They started this the moment they put a bounty on you. We're just going to finish it." I looked between the three of them, these dangerous, powerful men who'd pulled me into their world and were now preparing to burn down anyone who threatened me. I should have been terrified. I should have been planning my escape. Instead, standing there surrounded by them, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Safe. And that scared me more than anything. "Safe," I repeated, the word feeling foreign on my tongue. "I feel safe with 3 Mafia alphas who are about to start a war over me." That's not normal." "Nothing about this is normal," Soren said, setting down his glass. He moved closer, and I could smell the whiskey on his breath mixed with his scent, sharp ice and gunpowder. "But that doesn't make it wrong." "Doesn't make it right either," I shot back, echoing my earlier words. His lips curved into a dangerous smile. "You keep saying that, like you're trying to convince yourself." "Maybe I am." "Then stop." He reached out and tucked a strand of hair behind my ear, the gesture oddly gentle. Stop fighting what you feel, Omega. It's exhausting, isn't it? Pretending you don't want this? My breath hitched. I don't. Liar. His fingers trailed down my jaw, tilting my face up. Your mouth says no, but your body... He leaned in, his lips barely an inch from mine. Your body is begging us to claim you. I should have pulled away, should have slapped him. Instead, I stood frozen, my heart hammering against my ribs. Soren, Dante's voice cut through the tension. Back off. Soren's eyes never left mine. Why? He's not telling me to stop. I said back off. There was steel in Dante's tone now, an alpha command that made even Soren pause. He stepped back slowly, hands raised in mock surrender. Fine, but we're all thinking it. Thinking what? I asked, my voice shaking. Dante moved between us, his presence a wall of controlled power. That you're not just some random Omega we need to protect, that there's something else happening here. What do you mean? I mean, Dante said carefully, that the way we're all drawn to you isn't normal. The way we can't stop thinking about you, the way our instincts are screaming at us to keep you close, it's more than just alpha protectiveness. My stomach dropped. You think, no, that's not possible. What's not possible? Alessio asked quietly. I backed away until I hit the wall. You're talking about bonding, true mate bonding, and that's a myth. It doesn't actually happen, doesn't it? Dante's eyes searched mine. Then explain why every alpha instinct I have is telling me you're mine. Why I wanted to rip that Russo envoy's throat out just for looking at this building, knowing you were inside. Explain why I can smell you through your suppressants, Soren added, his voice low. Why your scent is driving me crazy, even though it shouldn't be reaching me at all. Explain why I've never felt this way about anyone, Alessio said, and the raw honesty in his voice made my chest ache. Why the thought of you leaving makes me want to destroy everything until you agree to stay. Stop, I whispered. Just stop. We can't, Dante said. Trust me, Luca. If we could turn this off, we would. It would be easier, safer. But we can't, and neither can you. You don't know what I feel, don't I? He stepped closer, and I could feel the heat radiating off him. Your scent spikes every time one of us gets close. Your pupils dilate when we touch you, and right now, even scared and confused, you're not running. You're staying, because part of you knows. Knows what? My voice broke. That you're ours, he said softly, and we're yours. The words hit me like a physical blow. I pressed my hands against the wall behind me, needing the solid surface to ground me. This is crazy, or I breathed. I can't be bonded to 3 alphas. That's not how it works. Maybe it's not how it usually works, Alessio said. But since when has anything about us been usual? He was right. I knew he was right. But admitting it meant accepting something I'd spent my entire life avoiding, the loss of control that came with bonding, the vulnerability, the complete and total surrender. I can't do this, I said, panic rising in my throat. I can't. My suppressant alarm went off. The shrill beep cut through the tension like a knife. I fumbled for my phone, silencing it, but the damage was done. All 3 of them had gone completely still. When did you last take your suppressants? Dante asked, his voice carefully controlled. This morning. I always take them at 8. It's past midnight, Soren said, and there was something dangerous in his tone. You're 12 hours overdue. The realization hit me like ice water. In all the chaos, the kidnapping, the revelation about the café, the Russo family, I'd completely forgotten. I started toward the door. My suppressants are in my apartment. I need to. Your apartment is being cleared by our people, Dante said. They won't be here until tomorrow morning. Then I'll go get them myself. You're not leaving this estate, he cut me off. The Russo family is watching every exit. Then send someone. I don't care who, just... My voice climbed higher. I need my suppressants. Why? Alessio asked quietly. What happens if you miss a dose? I couldn't look at him. Couldn't look at any of them. My heat comes back. The silence that followed was deafening. How long? Dante's voice was rough. Without suppressants, maybe 36 hours before the preheat symptoms start. 48 before I couldn't finish the sentence. Before you go into full heat, Soren finished for me, and his eyes had darkened to something predatory. Surrounded by 3 unmated alphas who are already obsessed with you. My legs felt weak. You have to get me my suppressants. You have to. We will, Dante said firmly. I'll send Marco to your apartment right now. He'll find them and bring them back. What if he can't find them? What if the Russo family got there first? Then we'll get you new ones, Alessio said. There are doctors in the city who all report to either your family or the Russo family, I interrupted. You think I can just walk into a clinic and ask for heat suppressants without everyone knowing exactly where I am? Then we call a private doctor here, Dante said. That still takes time. Time I might not have. My voice cracked on the last word, and suddenly Alessio was there, his hands on my shoulders steadying me. Hey, he said softly. Look at me, Luca. Look at me. I forced myself to meet his eyes. We will figure this out, he said. I promise you we will not let anything happen that you don't want. Do you understand? But if I go into heat, then we'll lock ourselves in separate wings of the estate if we have to, he said firmly. But we will not touch you without your consent, not ever. He's right, Dante said, and I heard him moving closer. You have our word, Luca, all 3 of us. Our word as Santoros, Soren added, which might not mean much to you, but it's all we have. I wanted to believe them. God, I wanted to believe them so badly it hurt. But I'd learned a long time ago that promises made by powerful men rarely lasted when their control was tested, and a heat-crazed Omega was the ultimate test. You don't understand, I whispered, pulling away from Alessio's touch, even though every fiber of my being screamed at me to lean into it. You can't understand what a heat does to an Omega, what it makes us, my voice caught, what it makes us need. Then tell us, Dante said, his voice gentler than I'd ever heard it. Help us understand. I wrapped my arms around myself, suddenly cold despite the fire crackling in the hearth. It's not just physical, it's like every wall you've ever built comes down. Every defense, every bit of self-preservation, gone. You become nothing but need and instinct, and you'll do anything, say anything, promise anything to make it stop. And you think we'd take advantage of that, Soren said. It wasn't a question. Wouldn't you? I met his eyes, challenging. Isn't that what alphas do, especially ones who've already decided I'm theirs? His jaw tightened. You really think so little of us. I don't know you well enough to think anything. Then let us prove it, Alessio said quietly. Let us show you that we're not the monsters you think we are. By doing what? Locking me in a room for 3 days while I burn from the inside out? I laughed, but it came out broken. That's not proving anything. That's just torture. There's another option, Dante said carefully. My stomach dropped. No. You don't even know what I was going to say. You were going to suggest that one of you, or all of you, help me through it. The words tasted bitter. That you take care of me during my heat. Am I wrong? The silence was answer enough. That's what I thought. I turned back toward the window, unable to look at them. And then what? After you've claimed me while I'm too far gone to think straight, while I'm begging you for it, what happens when the heat breaks and I remember everything? You'd hate us, Alessio said softly. Yes, the admission hurt. I would hate you, and I'd hate myself more for letting it happen. I heard movement behind me, footsteps. Then Dante's reflection appeared in the window glass, standing just behind my shoulder. What happened to you, Luca? He asked quietly. Who taught you that alphas can't be trusted? My throat tightened. Experience. Tell me. Why? So you can feel sorry for me? So you can promise you're different? I shook my head. I've heard it all before. Try me anyway. I shouldn't have. Should have kept my mouth shut, kept my secrets locked away where they couldn't be used against me. But standing there, seeing his reflection watching me with something that looked almost like genuine care, the words came out before I could stop them. His name was Eric, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. I was 19. He was an alpha from a Norwegian shipping family. Powerful, wealthy, everything an Omega was supposed to want. I pressed my forehead against the cold glass. He courted me properly, said all the right things, made all the right promises, and I believed him. What happened? Soren asked from somewhere behind me. My first heat happened. The memory made my stomach turn. I thought I thought he'd respect the boundaries we'd set. We talked about it, planned it. I told him I wasn't ready for bonding, that I just needed help getting through it safely. I closed my eyes. He agreed, said he'd never push me into something I didn't want. But he did, Dante said, and there was something deadly in his voice. He tried. My hands curled into fists against the window. He thought once I was in heat I wouldn't remember, that I'd be too far gone to know the difference between helping and claiming. But I fought him. Even through the fever, even when every instinct was screaming at me to submit, I fought. Did he? Alessio couldn't finish the question. No, I said quickly. I got away before he could complete the bond, but barely. And afterward, when I confronted him, you know what he said? I turned to face them, and I could feel the tears burning behind my eyes. He said I should be grateful, that any other alpha would have just taken what they wanted, that I was being unreasonable for expecting him to control himself around a heat-drunk omega. The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. Dante's eyes had gone black. Soren's hands were clenched so tight his knuckles were white. And Alessio looked like he wanted to break something. Where is he now? Dante asked, his voice deadly calm. I don't know. I ran. Came here to Strandvik, changed my name from Brennan to just Luca, started taking suppressants, and promised myself I'd never let an alpha that close again. I wiped at my eyes angrily. So forgive me if I don't trust your promises. I've heard them before. Alessio crossed the room in 3 strides and pulled me into his arms before I could protest. That will never happen to you again, he said fiercely against my hair. Do you hear me? Never. You can't promise that. Yes, I can. He pulled back just enough to look at me, his hands framing my face. Because I would rather cut off my own hands than touch you without your full, conscious consent. Because the thought of someone hurting you like that makes me want to commit murder, and because, his voice broke, because you deserve better than what that bastard did to you. We all would, Soren said, and when I looked at him, the usual mockery was gone from his face. Rather cut off our hands, I mean, or other appendages, whatever it takes to make you feel safe. Eric Halverson, Dante said quietly, still staring at me. From the Oslo shipping family? My blood ran cold. How did you? I know every major family in Scandinavia. His smile was razor sharp and terrifying. And I know exactly where Eric Halverson is right now. Dante, don't. I'm not going to kill him, he said, though his tone suggested he wanted to. But I am going to make sure he understands that if he ever comes near you again, death would be a mercy compared to what I'll do to him. You can't. This isn't your fight. Yes, it is. He moved closer, and I was surrounded by all 3 of them again. Because you're ours to protect now, Luca, and that means anyone who's ever hurt you answers to us. That's insane, I whispered. Probably, Soren agreed. But we're Santoros. Insane is kind of our thing. Despite everything, despite the fear and the panic and the absolute chaos of the situation, I felt my lips twitch. Did you just make a joke? See? You're already getting used to us. His smile was softer this time. Real. Dante's phone buzzed. He pulled it out, read the message, and his expression hardened. Marco's at your apartment, he said. But there's a problem. My brief moment of levity shattered. What kind of problem? The Russo family got there first. His eyes met mine. Your suppressants are gone. The room tilted. I grabbed the back of the nearest chair to steady myself, my knuckles going white. Gone. They're gone. They took everything, Dante said, his voice tight with controlled fury. Tore apart your apartment looking for anything that could tell them more about you. Marco says there's nothing left. No. The word came out weak, desperate. No, there has to be. Check again. Maybe he missed something. Maybe they're hidden. Luca. Dante's hand covered mine on the chair. They're gone. My legs gave out. Alessio caught me before I hit the floor, scooping me up like I weighed nothing. I should have protested, should have demanded he put me down, but I couldn't find the strength. Everything was crashing down around me. Breathe, Alessio murmured, carrying me to the bed. Just breathe. I can't. My chest felt too tight. 36 hours, maybe less now, and then we'll call a doctor, Dante said, already pulling out his phone again. There are private physicians who owe us favors. Discreet ones. It won't matter. I pressed my hands against my face, trying to block out the reality. Even if they can get suppressants, it takes weeks to build them back up in your system. One dose won't stop a heat that's already coming. Then we'll find another way, Soren said. There is no other way. I looked up at him, and I knew my eyes were wild, desperate. Don't you understand? In less than 2 days, I'm going to go into heat, and there's nothing any of us can do to stop it. The three of them exchanged looks, some kind of silent communication I couldn't read. There's one thing, Dante said carefully. I laughed, sharp and bitter. Right. Let you claim me while I'm out of my mind. That's not a solution, that's... Not that, he interrupted. I meant we could bring in an outside Omega. Someone trained to help unmated Omegas through their heats. A heat companion. I stared at him. You're joking. I'm not. They exist. It's an old practice, but it requires me to let a complete stranger into my bed while I'm at my most vulnerable. I shook my head. No, absolutely not. It's better than the alternative, Soren pointed out. Is it? I shot back. At least with you three, I know your names. I know your faces. A stranger could be anyone. Could do anything. We'd vet them thoroughly, Dante started. No. I stood up even though my legs were shaking. I'm not letting some random person. I can't. I won't. Then what do you want to do? Alessio asked quietly. The question hung in the air between us. What did I want? I wanted my suppressants. I wanted my old life back. I wanted to have never answered that phone call. But I couldn't have any of those things. I don't know, I whispered. Dante moved closer, and I could see the struggle in his eyes, the alpha instinct warring with something else, something that looked like genuine concern. I need you to understand something, he said. If you go through this heat alone, it could kill you. An unmated Omega without any alpha assistance during a full heat, the fever, the pain, the stress on your body, it's dangerous, Luca. People survive it. Some people, he said, not all, and the ones who do are never quite the same afterward. He's right, Alessio said softly. I've seen it happen. An Omega in our organization tried to go through heat alone after her mate died. She survived, but... He stopped, his jaw clenching. The trauma broke something in her. She never fully recovered. Fear clawed at my throat. So what are you saying? That I have to choose between letting strangers touch me or letting you claim me? No, Dante said firmly. I'm saying you have to choose whether you trust us enough to help you without claiming you. The words hit me like a physical blow. That's not possible, I said. You can't. An alpha can't be around an Omega in heat without wanting to claim them, Soren finished. Yeah, we know. It's going to be the hardest thing we've ever done. But we can do it, Luca. For you, we can do it. You don't know that. You can't know that until... Then we'll find out together, Alessio said. He took my hand, and his touch was warm and steady. But I'm telling you right now, I would rather tear myself apart fighting my instincts than hurt you the way Eric did. My vision blurred. You can't promise that. Yes, I can. He squeezed my hand. Because I've already decided that your choice matters more than my instincts, that your trust matters more than my need. And if that means I spend 3 days in hell fighting myself to keep you safe, then that's what I'll do. We all will, Dante said. Every single second of it, Soren added. And there was no trace of mockery in his voice now, only steel. I looked between the three of them, these dangerous men who'd pulled me into their world and turned my life upside down. Men I'd known for less than a day. Men I shouldn't trust. Men who were looking at me like I was the most important thing in their universe. If you're lying, I said, my voice breaking, if you claim me while I'm too far gone to stop you, we won't, Dante said. But if you do, Then you hunt us down and make us pay, Soren said simply. We'll deserve it. We'll help you do it, Alessio added. I'll hand you the weapon myself. A broken laugh escaped me. You're all insane. Probably, Dante agreed. But we're your insane alphas now, Luca, whether you like it or not. I haven't agreed to anything. A wave of heat rolled through me. Not intense, not yet, but enough to make my skin prickle, enough to make their scent suddenly overwhelming. The preheat symptoms were starting earlier than I'd thought. All three of them went rigid. Luca, Dante said carefully, how do you feel? Hot, I admitted, and dizzy, and I pressed my hand to my stomach as another wave hit. Oh God, this is starting faster than it should. The stress, Alessio said, the fear, the adrenaline, it's triggering your heat early. How early? Hours, he said, maybe less. The room spun. I felt Alessio's arms around me again, heard Dante's voice giving sharp orders, heard Soren's cursing. But all I could think was, I had to choose. Trust them or face this alone. Live or possibly die. And I had minutes, not hours, to decide. Okay, I heard myself say. The word was barely a whisper. Okay, I'll trust you. But please, my voice broke. Please don't make me regret this. Dante's hand cupped my face, tilting my head up to meet his eyes. Never, he said. I swear to you, Luca. Never. And then the heat hit me in full force, and I stopped being able to think at all. The fever consumed me like wildfire. I was dimly aware of being moved, carried somewhere cooler, darker. Gentle hands removing my jacket, my shoes. A cold cloth pressed to my forehead. Voices speaking in low, tense tones. But mostly I was aware of the burning. It started in my core and radiated outward until every nerve ending felt like it was on fire. My skin was too tight, too sensitive. The sheets beneath me felt like sandpaper. And the scent, God, the scent of three alphas surrounding me was driving me out of my mind. Please, I heard myself whimper. Please, We're here, Alessio's voice close to my ear. We're not going anywhere. Make it stop, I begged. Please make it stop. I know, baby, I know. His hand smoothed over my hair, and even that gentle touch made me shudder. Just hold on, we've got you. Time became meaningless. Hours or minutes, I couldn't tell the difference. All I knew was the cycle of burning and desperate need, followed by brief moments of clarity where I remembered who I was, where I was, why I was fighting so hard to hold on. In those moments, I saw them. Dante standing at the window with his back to me, his hands clenched so tight I could see blood where his nails dug into his palms, fighting himself with everything he had. Soren pacing like a caged wolf, his ice blue eyes wild every time they landed on me, before he forced himself to look away, torturing himself to keep me safe. Alessio, the only one who stayed close, who held my hand through the worst of it, who whispered reassurances even as I could see the strain on his face, the way his jaw clenched every time I whimpered his name. They were keeping their promise, even as I begged, and I did beg, sobbed for them to touch me, claimed I needed them, said things I would never have said in my right mind. They held firm. Not like this, Dante's voice cut through one of my pleas. When you choose me, Luca, it will be because you want me, not because your biology is demanding it. We can help in other ways, Alessio murmured, his thumb tracing circles on my wrist. Cool water, medicine for the fever. We're not leaving you alone in this. But we're not taking advantage, Soren added, his voice rough, no matter how much it kills us not to. And it was killing them. I could see it in every rigid line of their bodies, smell it in the way their sense spiked with need every time I cried out. They were fighting a war against their most basic instincts. For me, the realization cut through the heat fog like a blade. They were choosing me over their nature, just like I'd asked. When the fever finally broke, it was like surfacing from deep water. I opened my eyes to soft morning light filtering through the curtains. My body ached everywhere, exhausted and wrung out. But the burning was gone. The desperate need had faded to a dull throb. I was in the bed, covered in soft blankets, and slumped in chairs around the room, looking like they'd been through their own personal hell, were the three Santoro brothers. Dante was still at the window, though he'd finally sat down. His eyes were closed, but I could see the tension in his shoulders. Soren was sprawled in an armchair, his head tilted back, looking more exhausted than I'd ever seen him. And Alessio was in the chair closest to my bed, his hands still wrapped around mine, even in sleep. They'd stayed, all three of them, and they'd kept their promise. "You're awake!" Dante's voice made me jump. His eyes were open now, fixed on me with an intensity that should have been frightening. Instead, it made something warm bloom in my chest. "How long?" My voice came out hoarse. 38 hours. He stood slowly, like his body was protesting the movement. The worst heat I've ever witnessed. "I'm sorry," I whispered. His expression softened. Don't apologize for something you couldn't control. But you, all of you, I said things, asked for things. We remember too," Soren said, his eyes opening. He looked wrecked. "And we don't regret a single second of saying no." Alessio's hand tightened around mine, and I realized he was awake too. "How do you feel?" he asked quietly. "Tired, sore." I paused. "Safe." The words seemed to hit all three of them like a physical blow. "Luca," Dante started, but I cut him off. "You kept your promise," I said, and tears were burning behind my eyes again. "You could have. I was begging you to. And you didn't. You protected me even from myself." "Of course we did," Alessio said, like it was the most obvious thing in the world. "We told you we would. People break promises all the time." "We're not people," Soren said. "We're Santoros, and a Santoro's word is unbreakable." I looked at him, then at Dante, then at Alessio. These three dangerous, powerful men who'd turned my world upside down in less than 2 days. "I want to stay," I said quietly. The room went still. "What?" Dante's voice was carefully controlled. "I want to stay here, with you, all of you." I took a shaky breath. "Not because I'm scared of the Russo family, not because I have nowhere else to go, but because," my voice caught, "because you chose me. Over your instincts, over your nature, over everything. You chose me, and I think I'm ready to choose you too." "Luca, you just came out of heat," Dante said carefully. "You're not thinking clearly." "I'm thinking more clearly than I have in years," I interrupted. "You three broke through every wall I've spent years building. You made me feel safe when I thought I'd never feel safe with an alpha again. And you proved that not all alphas are like Eric, that some actually mean it when they say they'll protect you." "We do mean it," Alessio said fiercely. "Every word." "I know," I squeezed his hand. "I know you do. And that's why I want to stay. Not as your prisoner or your responsibility, but as," I hesitated, "as yours. If you'll still have me." Dante crossed the room in 3 strides and knelt beside the bed so we were eye level. "If we'll still have you," he repeated, and there was wonder in his voice. "Luca, we've been yours since the moment you answered that phone call. We just didn't know it yet. And now?" His smile was soft and real, and more beautiful than anything I'd ever seen. "Now we know, and we're never letting you go." Soren appeared on my other side, his usual smirk replaced with something genuine. "Fair warning, Omega. We're possessive, overprotective, and probably going to drive you crazy." "I think I can handle it," I said. "Good." He leaned down and pressed a kiss to my forehead. "Because you're stuck with us now." Alessio helped me sit up, wrapping a blanket around my shoulders. "There's still the Russo family to deal with, and your father's connection to the Oslo Syndicate, and probably a dozen other problems we don't even know about yet." "I know," I said, "but we'll handle them," Dante said firmly. "Together, because that's what families do." "Family," I repeated, testing the word. "If you want to be," Alessio said softly. "We know it's fast. We know it's unconventional. But it's ours," I finished. "Our story, our choice, our family." "Exactly," Dante said. I looked at the three of them. My alphas, I realized with a jolt. "Mine." "Then yes," I said. "I want to be your family, and I want you to be mine." The kiss Alessio pressed to my lips was gentle and sweet and full of promise. When he pulled back, Soren took his place, his kiss fiercer but no less careful. And then Dante, whose kiss felt like coming home. "We need to make this official," Dante said when we finally broke apart. "A proper claiming, when you're ready, when you choose it." "I'm choosing it now," I said. "Not yet," he said gently. "Not until you're fully recovered. Not until you're absolutely certain. We've waited this long. We can wait a little longer to do it right." "Always so proper," Soren teased, but his eyes were soft. "One of us has to be," Dante shot back. I laughed, and it felt good. Natural. "Right. So what happens now?" I asked. "Now," Dante said, "we make sure the Russo family understands that you're untouchable. We clean up this mess. We build you a new life here with us. And we figure out how to be a family," Alessio added, "however unconventional it might be." "Three alphas and one omega," I mused. "People are going to talk." "Let them," Soren said. "We're Santoros. We've never cared what people think." "Besides," Dante added, pulling me close, "they can say whatever they want. As long as you're here with us, nothing else matters." I leaned into his embrace, feeling Alessio's hand on my back and Soren's fingers threading through my hair. Surrounded by them, protected by them, chosen by them. For the first time in years, I wasn't running. I was home. The claiming ceremony was small, just us, Signora Ravenna, and a few trusted members of the Santoro family. The Russo family had been dealt with, their operations absorbed, their leadership scattered. They were no longer a threat. And I was no longer Luca Brennan, the invisible Omega who worked at a cafe. I was Luca Santoro, mate to three of the most powerful alphas in Strandvik, and I'd never been happier. "Ready?" Dante asked, adjusting his tie in the mirror. "Ready," I said, meaning it. Alessio took my left hand, Soren took my right, and Dante stood before me, the claiming mark already visible on his neck, where I'd placed it the night before. "Forever?" he asked softly. I smiled, feeling their love wrap around me like warmth. "Forever,"